Hey readers, so we're going to continue our read aloud of The Year of the Dog. Just a quick review and the summary of what's been happening in the plot so far. You know that we have a character named Grace who has a friend named Melody, and Becky Williams. Don't forget Becky Williams. Melody and Grace are both Chinese descent. They're in school and they're starting to become really good friends. The Year of the Dog, remember, is about a year of finding yourself. So in this story, we're wondering how Grace is going to find herself as a person. In the last chapter, Grace and Melody were kind of pining over a boy named Teddy. And they both liked Teddy. They found out they both liked him, but Teddy ended up liking another girl named Sophia Williams. So we're picking up now with chapter 13, the book contest. So we're going to read this today, and I want you to really think and consider the plot of this story and how this is evolving and what we are learning about our characters, specifically Grace and Melody. Because today, when we get into our lesson, we're going to be looking deeper into predictions. And you need to know about your characters and what they're doing and why they might do something in your prediction, but also how they might do something. So in the last book, we really thought about making those predictions. The last chapter of what's going to happen between the two girls when they found out they both like Teddy Williams. Are they going to fight? Are they going to be friends? Are they going to have a temporary fight and then make up? And we confirmed that they both were wrong, that Teddy didn't like neither of them. He liked Sophia Williams, which was actually a prediction one of you made. Alright, so I'm going to turn my voice off and start reading. The book contest. My two favorite classes at school were library class and art class. At library, we were allowed to borrow 3 books at a time, and Miss McCurdy would read to us. I loved books. I read every Betsy book in the library. Then I read all the books by an author named Ruth Chu. Her books were all about magic and witches. They were so exciting. I loved art class too. Mr. Valenti taught us how to mix colors. My favorite color was red. But you can't mix red. You can mix orange from red and yellow, or purple from red and blue, but you could never mix 2 colors together to get red. We also got to make pictures on the scratch board instead of drawing black lines on white sheet of paper. You scratched away the black surface with a special pen. I did a drawing of some flowers against the moon. One day, Miss McCurdy came to our art class. It was funny seeing her there because we usually only saw her in library. "Hello, class," she said. "Mr. Valenti and I are combining our classes for a very special project. We're going to have all of you write and illustrate your own books." Our own books? Could we do that? Could I do that? Miss McCurdy told us there was a contest that we would be entering. It was called the Written and Illustrated by the National Awards Contest for Students. For this contest, you enter the books that you wrote and drew by yourself. If you won first place, they would publish your book, just like the books in the library. Miss McCurdy would help us with the writing, and Mr. Valenti would help us with the drawing. But we had to think up our own ideas. All day long I thought about the project. Becky said she was going to do her book about a unicorn. Melody said she might write about a singer. I heard some boys talk about how they were going to do their stories about pirates or wizards with swords. Couldn't decide what to do mine about. At home I told everybody about the project. "Do a book about a girl that can read minds," Lissy said. "Do something with panda bears," Kiki said. "How about a cookbook?" Mom said. "Better make it an eating book," Dad said. "You're good at that." "No," I said. "Those aren't good ideas. I need a good idea so I can win the contest." Mom shook her head. "It's not easy to win a contest. You have to work very hard." "Yes," said Dad. "Like how you practice the violin. Everything takes time and effort." "So I have to practice making a book every day?" I asked. "That doesn't make any sense." "No," Mom said, "but you'll have to work on your book a little bit every day if you want it to be good, just like practicing an instrument. Did I ever tell you about Grandma and the paper piano?" The paper piano. When I was a little girl, maybe a little bit younger than you are, before Grandpa started his business, we were very poor. Our house was small and old with cracked cement floor that was never clean, no matter how much Grandma swept and scrubbed it. The bathroom was broken down and rotten. Green mold grew underneath the sink, and when it rained, worms would come out of the walls. Grandma didn't like being poor. Before she married Grandpa, she had been a fine lady. Now we were the poor family of a medical student. But Grandma knew it was only temporary. Once Grandpa became established, we would live in a nice house, and I would grow up to be a fine lady just like she had been. So while we were waiting for Grandpa to get established, she wanted me to learn all the things fine ladies knew, and one of those things was how to play the piano. Grandma looked all over for a good piano teacher that we could afford. Finally, she found one. He was a young man who lived over a mile away. Since we were too poor to buy a piano, he said that I would have to come to her house to practice every day. Every day after he was done giving lessons. The piano teacher's house. Every day I walked the long way to his house. He lived in a grand house. I used to think it was probably just like the house Elvis Presley would live in because it was an American-style house. Outside the house was a garden with a rainbow of flowers. There were very exotic flowers in the garden, red and yellow roses with their vivid petals spilling over each other, marigolds looking like bursts of orange sunshine, and brilliant violet pink petunias. The house itself had 2 floors. I never got to see what was upstairs, but the downstairs was so magnificent. The floor was smooth and glossy wood, polished like a piece of golden amber. There were curly carved tea chests and furniture, shiny chestnut-colored striped curtains, and ivory glass vases with blue flowers painted on them. On the porcelain cover of a gold box, an English lady smiled at me. She wore a big pink dress, the skirts puffing like an upside-down peony. She always seemed to be inviting me to open the box, but I never dared. The paintings of wealthy ancestors were watching. Their stern gazes forbade me to touch any of their riches. My piano teacher had a fascinating house. But the walk to his house was long and dull. By the time I got there, my legs ached as if they had been beaten with bamboo stalks. I always tried to get out of going to his house. It's too hot, I would say, or it's too rainy. But no matter what I said, Grandma would make me go practice. Every day she marched me out of the house, until finally one day she grew tired of hearing me complain. "Okay," she said, "you don't have to go, but you still have to practice." I was confused. If I didn't have to go, how would I practice? How would I practice without a piano? But Grandma calmly took out a big sheet of paper. She cut it and measured it and colored in it. It was only after she had filled in all the black rectangles that I recognized what she had made. It was a drawing of a piano keyboard. Grandma put the paper piano and my music on the table in front of me and said, "Here, you can practice on this." I played my scales, my exercises, and my solo. Every time I touched the paper key, Grandma would sing the note. Mom as a little girl and Grandma playing the paper piano. So no matter what, I practiced the piano every day. Sometimes I practiced on a real piano, sometimes I practiced on a paper piano. It was long time before we got our own piano. But when we did, I was able to play it so well they invited me to play in the school orchestra. Later, I played a solo at a big concert, and when it was done, everyone stood up and clapped. Grandma was so happy she cried. Mom finished. "So if I win the book contest, will you cry?" I asked. "Yes," Mom said, "very hard." "We will all cry," Dad said. "I'll buy a box of Kleenex just for the occasion." So we learned a little bit about Grandma there in that chapter. That she, really wanted to instill hard work and practice the piano for Mom, and now Mom is passing that on to our character, Grace. So let's see what here is going to happen in the next chapter, chapter 14, Trying to Discover. Some ice cream right there. Besides the book project, the other exciting thing going on at school was the science fair. Since Teddy Jackson wasn't going to be my boyfriend, Melody and I were partners, just like we planned. I couldn't wait for the science fair. I thought maybe it could help me find myself. If science could answer questions about the weather and nature, it had to be able to help answer what I was going to be when I grew up. Becky and Charlotte are doing a project on constellations, I said to Melody, and Teddy and Sophie are making a volcano. What are we going to do? I don't know, she said, but let's do something that'll win the blue ribbon. I've never won before. Me neither, I said. We'd have to be really lucky to win a blue ribbon, though. But we're supposed to be lucky this year, Melody said. We should be able to get it. Mom overheard us. The science fair isn't about luck, she told us. It's about science, discovery through using your senses, sight, smell, sound, touch, and taste. Taste, I said? Let's do a project about ice cream. I can discover ice cream. Me too, girl, me too. That's not science, Melody said. That's dessert. Mom tried to help us. You should do an experiment, something you don't know the answer to before you begin, she said. Like what? I asked. Mom knew about these things because she used to be a plant scientist before she married Dad, a botanist, she said. Well, Mom said, a famous scientist once had her plants listen to different kinds of music to see if it would affect their growth. She put a plant in a room and played classical music in the room for 24 hours a day. In another room, she played rock music. Did it make a difference? Melody asked. Yes, it did, Mom told us. The plant that listened to classical music grew more than the one that listened to rock music. That's funny, I laughed. Plants don't like rock music. Melody said. Maybe we should do something like that. I don't want to have to play music all the time, I said. I'll never get to sleep. Maybe we can do something else, like using different colored lights or water, Melody said. I know, I said. We can water the plants with different things. We'll give one orange juice, another soda, and one milk, and we'll see which one they like better. Melody laughed. Maybe we should feed one ice cream, too. So that weekend, we planted 14 pea plant seeds. We watered one with orange juice, one with milk, one with ginger ale, and one with plain water. Mom called that one our control. We compared the others to it. The plants didn't grow very well. The milk plant had one shriveled stem and smelled funny. The orange juice plant was just a pot of dirt. The water plant was small. In fact, the only plant that looked good was the plant we fed ginger ale. It was growing strong and green with a vine climbing up the stick. That's the soda plant right there. Plants like soda, Melody announced. We should tell the world. Everyone should water their plants with soda from now on. People could hose their lawns with ginger ale. Melody and I made big posters for the science fair. We made charts of each plant and wrote a report. The report was 4 pages long. I drew a leaf border on every page. We were very, very proud. This is our lucky year, Melody told me. We're definitely going to win the blue ribbon. After that, the science fair hears about our project. We'll be famous. Maybe we'll be in the newspapers or on TV. I was excited too. Not only had Melody and I made an important scientific discovery, I might have discovered my talent. I could be a scientist. I could be like Albert Einstein, but I would comb my hair. Do you think the pea from the soda plant will taste like ginger ale? Melody asked. We looked at the plant. It didn't look like any peas were growing. Maybe it will grow a pea pod by the science fair, I said hopefully. The science fair. I wonder what's going to happen. Excuse me. The science fair was on Saturday. It didn't seem fair that we had to go to school on Saturday, but our teacher said it was the only way that everyone could see all of our projects. I was glad everyone was going to see our project. I couldn't wait until they heard what we discovered. Feed Your Plant Soda for Optimal Growth by Melody Ling and Grace Lynn, our science fair banner. Melody and I taped our posters on the wall. Our largest poster said, Feed Your Plant Soda for Optimal Growth. I had drawn a picture of a pea plant and a bottle of ginger ale next to it. We hung that one right in the middle. We put our plants on the table with a carton of milk, a bottle of soda, and a cup of orange juice, and a watering can. The plants were very small and scrawny. They didn't look like anything like my drawings. Becky and Charlotte came over to our table while I was trying to make our plants look better by drawing pictures on the pots. The pictures didn't help. Those plants don't look good, Charlotte said. Did you really water one with soda? Yes, Melody said, and we made a scientific discovery. This is our lucky year. Becky and Charlotte looked puzzled, so I explained to them. Melody and I were born in the year of the tiger, I told them, so the year of the dog is really lucky for us. We'll probably win the blue ribbon. But I'm the same age as you, Becky said. So I was born in the year of the tiger, too. So that means I'm just as lucky as you are. Maybe we'll win the blue ribbon. Melody and I looked at each other. We hadn't thought of that. How could all of us be lucky when there was only one blue ribbon? We're luckier because it's the Chinese year of the dog, Melody said, and Grace and I are Chinese. I could see Becky didn't agree, but Miss Malone, Melody's teacher, came into the room and told everyone to go stand by their projects. We're ready to start judging the science fair, Miss Malone said, and this year we are especially lucky. My good friend, Mr. McNeely, is going to be our guest judge. He is a scientist. He works at NASA. Lucky! Melody nudged me. See? With him here, we'll definitely get the blue ribbon. But he's for NASA, I whispered to Melody. That's like the space shuttle. He's probably an astronaut. He won't know about plants. Astronauts are scientists, she whispered back, and scientists know about science. We're going to win. I know it. We waited a long time for Mr. McNeely to come to our project. When he did, he looked surprised. Well, this is an interesting project, he said, and he picked up our report and started to read it. We nudged each other. Here was our good luck. However, he said to us, I'm not sure your results or substantiate your claim. Were your plants in a controlled environment? I looked at Melody. Her grin had completely disappeared. Our water plant is the control, I told him, remembering what Mom had called it. I felt very smart. No. I meant, did you give each of your plant the same amount of liquid? And did each get the same sun exposure? He said. Well, there wasn't enough room in the window for the water plants, so I put that one on the table in the other room, I said. I suddenly was not feeling very smart. It might have gotten less light, and we didn't even measure how much we gave them. Mr. McNeely said, frowning. Then I'm afraid your scientific method was seriously flawed. Melody and I looked at each other. We didn't feel so lucky anymore. To get true results, you should do this project over again with at least 10 plants for each liquid in a controlled environment, he continued, and then you should do a chlorophyll test. When he left, Melody and I were very quiet. I don't think he liked it, Melody said. He did say it was interesting, I said. But I really thought we had discovered something, Melody said. She sounded glum. He thought it was a terrible project. He didn't say it was terrible, I said. He said we were seriously flawed, Melody said. That's scientist talk for terrible. We sat down at our table depressed. The science fair that had been so colorful and thrilling an hour ago was now gray and dull. I didn't know scientists had to do all that stuff, I said. Maybe I didn't want to be a scientist after all. It looked like I didn't have any science talent. Did you know what he was talking about? No, Melody said, and we both laughed. An hour later, Miss Malone came back to the room. We watched her hand Charlotte and Becky the blue ribbon. Then their pictures were taken for the school newspaper. I guess Charlotte and Becky have more luck than we do after all, Melody said, even though they're not Chinese. Maybe because Becky has a dog, I said. Dogs are probably better friends with other dogs than they are with tigers. Yeah, Melody said. Scruffy probably put in a good word for them. Or maybe they just had a better project, I said. Maybe, Melody said, but I bet it was Scruffy. Dreaming of Dorothy, Chapter 16. We knew the end of school year was coming when Miss Malone announced that there were sign-ups for the school play. This year, she told our grade, we are going to put on a musical play, The Wizard of Oz. You can choose to be in the orchestra or the choir, or you can try out for one of the parts. The Wizard of Oz! I loved that movie and that book. Right away I knew I was going to try out for Dorothy, since it looked like I wasn't going to be a scientist when I grow up. I wouldn't mind being a rich movie star. This could be my chance to see if I had talent as an actress. Melody and I looked at the sign-up sheet. I'm signing up for orchestra, Melody told me. You're not going to try out for Dorothy, I said. I am. I'm not going to sing in front of all those people, Melody said, looking at the list. Besides, everyone wants to be Dorothy. That was true. The list for Dorothy was very long. Almost all the girls in our grade had signed up. I made the list even longer. And I'm going to stop there. And that is where we were going to continue our lesson and talk about making predictions. I wonder what's going to happen next.